Happy Monday, everybody. I'm sitting here in my reading area next to my bookshelf because I am looking for the oldest book in the world. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. The oldest book in the world. Well, now you might be saying, Mr. Hurley, this book does not look that old. And you'd be right. It's not. It's not really the oldest book in the world, but it is the oldest story in the world because the story in this book is more than 5,000 years old. It is the oldest written story that we have. It's so old that when archaeologists found it, they did not find it on paper. They found it carved into clay. And it tells the story of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh the king of Uruk. Here he is looking over his tower, and here's a picture of his kingdom. And in part of the story of the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh and his friend Enkidu, yes, that's his friend's name, decide that they're going to leave their beautiful city and venture off into the unknown of the cedar forest. Why? Because they are going to look for the monster named Humbaba. Yes, that's his name, Humbaba. And they are going to destroy him. Why? Because Humbaba is terrorizing the people. And so they walk out into the forest, and it's a long, long hike through the forest, days and weeks and months. And they find Humbaba, and he has the face of a lion, and he has claws like the talons of vultures, and he's covered in scales. And they find Humbaba, and they go up to him, and they fight with him, and eventually, in the end, they cut off his head. And that way, they save the people from the monster. So this is the oldest story that we have written down, and it's a hero story. Gilgamesh and Enkidu are heroes. And it shouldn't be surprising that this same story makes its way into stories that come later. For example, stories about knights and dragons. You know, the knight gallops in on his horse to attack the dragon, and the dragon's head comes off, and the dragon is dead, and the people are saved from the dangerous monster that's attacking the town. Again, a hero story. A story that features a hero as the main character. But what are heroes, actually? How can you tell if someone's a hero or not? Let's take a look. The way I see it, there are three main things that distinguish heroes from everybody else. Thing one, they're brave. They do things that are brave. That doesn't mean that they're not afraid of anything. It just means that even though they have fears, they face their fears anyways, and they do things that are dangerous, even though they're dangerous. And secondly, they do admirable things. You can look at those things and you can go, wow, that's really impressive. And finally, heroes do things that help others. With that in mind, let's take a look at some different kinds of people and decide if they're heroes or not. First, skydivers. Are skydivers heroes? Well, they definitely do something that's risky or dangerous, so I would say that they are brave. But what they're doing doesn't really help anybody else. And I have to say, it's not really something that you admire. I mean, it's not like they took a lot of work or skill to jump out of an airplane. All they have to do is jump out of an airplane. So really, skydivers, not heroes. What about like famous rock musicians? Are they heroes? Well, they definitely do something that people admire, right? They play music very well. But, and maybe you can say that they're helping people, but definitely they're not doing anything that's particularly risky or dangerous. They're not facing any dangerous fears. So I would not say that they're particularly brave. So, not heroes. What about people who hold open doors for other people? Are they heroes? Well, they certainly help others, right? It's helpful to open a door for someone. I don't know how admirable it is. It's not really super impressive that somebody opens the door for somebody else. And it's certainly not brave. It's not like you're risking your life to open a door for somebody. So, people who open doors for people, not heroes. What about superheroes? Well, the word hero is in their name, so you would think superheroes should be heroes, and I suppose they are, right? They do admirable things, and they help other people, and they act in a brave way. But I want you to consider a story from my childhood before you come to your conclusion on that. And here's how the story from my childhood goes. When I was a little boy, I was sitting in the living room watching TV, and I was watching Batman on TV, and my mum came into the room and she turned off the TV. And I was a little bit upset about this, and she refused to let me watch Batman from then on. I was never allowed to watch it. And what she said to me was this: Batman uses violence because he doesn't know how to solve problems. And that's why I was never allowed to watch Batman. Now, that might seem like a strange story to you, but when you think about it, she was right. When you look out into the world today, and you look at all the problems that exist in the world, most of them are not problems that you can solve with violence. And especially if you look at Winnipeg, what are the problems that are going on in Winnipeg right now? What are the problems that exist in your own community? Are they problems that you can solve with violence? Are there dragons running around the city whose heads we need to cut off? I don't think so. So, who are the heroes in Winnipeg? Who are those people who are brave, admirable, and helping others in our community? Well, that's the question that we're going to be looking at this week. And the way we're going to start looking at it is by looking at brains. Yes, I want you to imagine what the brain of a hero might look like. What am I talking about? Well, I was looking at this activity sheet from a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, and it said, "What's in your brain?" And on the left-hand side, it shows a imaginary X-ray of the brain of Greg, the main character. There's Greg in the bottom left there. And it shows what's going on in his brain. And it shows that the biggest section that he's thinking about is video games, but he's also got some other things on his mind, including weekends, TV, sleep, food, girls, and movies and music. So that's what's going on in Greg's mind. And then on the other page, it asks you to draw what's going on in your brain. Well, I'm going to modify this activity just a little bit for everybody here. Instead of thinking about what's going on in your brain, I want you to imagine what's going on in a hero's brain. So your activity for today is to show what's going on in a hero's brain. Now, what do I want you to do? I want you to make your own brain of a hero, or X-ray of a brain of a hero. How do you do that? Well, either download the brain outline that's attached to this lesson and print it out, or you can just draw your own on a piece of paper, and then show me what you think is going on inside the brains of a hero. And I can't wait to find out what different ideas you have.